Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Kessler from Kessler Insurance, and I am here today with Cheers for Charity New Hampshire. And I'm always here with the fabulous Joanne Burchuk. Hey, Joanne.
Oh, hi, Lisa. Hi, yes, I'm Joanne Burchuk with Lighthouse Physical Therapy, and so happy to bring another local charity. Well, should we call you charity or organization? We'll call you
Yeah,
local
we are a
organization.
nonprofit.
Okay, there we go. That helps our youth, and so I'm super excited and let me try this again. I'm super excited to introduce Elisa, who is with New Hampshire Juvenile Court Diversion. I had to practice that a couple times. It's a very
I
long
do
name.
that every
So,
day.
please introduce yourself. Tell us about your organization and how it impacts our local community.
Absolutely. So first, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about the network. Again, my name is Elisa Cannon. I am the executive director of the New Hampshire Juvenile Court Diversion Network. We really need to work on that name, but that's okay. We are a statewide nonprofit. We support and accredit independent juvenile court diversion programs. So at this point in time, we have 17 accredited programs and 3 additional programs working to become accredited. On the Seacoast, we have 4 accredited programs that serve all of our youth in that area.
Which is great. Yes, the name is long, but it includes a lot. I do like the word diversion in there because I feel like that is such a key to what you do. So do you want to give us just like a high level of like who's involved in your programs and the wonderful things you guys do to help divert,
Yeah,
these young people and the trajectory of their lives, I guess.
yes, absolutely. So juvenile court diversion actually allows the opportunity for justice-involved youth to be held accountable for their actions, repair any harm that's done. They're also screened for risk behaviors like substance use, any mental health needs. They access support services, and it also offers the opportunity for them to feel connected to their community. All of our programs, it being in line with the accreditation standards that we require, use restorative justice principles with every single case that they come across. They address the needs and the harm by engaging the offender, by engaging all of the harm parties, and engaging their community members as panels, restorative justice panels, impact panel, circles, restorative circles. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And all while holding the offender accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does one get involved with the group?
So if a kiddo happens to come across a law enforcement officer, they're making certain decisions or something has happened where they have that contact with a law enforcement officer, uh, they have the option of utilizing a diversion program before having to get involved further in the criminal justice system. So law enforcement can refer to a diversion program before filing any charges or petitions through the court system, or they can be sent to an assessment done by juvenile probation officer assessment workers. So the assessment kind of gives the option to get further into their needs and understand where this kiddo is coming from, what's happening in their world, what their strengths are, and how they can be best supported. And then they would potentially refer to a diversion program, or a law enforcement officer can just defer right away to a diversion program. And in the diversion program, I'm not sure how deep you want me to go into it, but I'm happy to go through the whole process if you'd
Yeah,
like.
no, I think it's
Yeah.
really helpful, just so people understand like, oh, this would be, something really valuable for maybe somebody that they know that has had issues in this area.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So any youth who's facing some sort of delinquency charge by law enforcement is eligible to attend a diversion program. And with that, depending on the harmed party is always engaged or attempted to be engaged. So whoever had the harm done to them, the offender works with a coordinator of the diversion program to establish what their situation is. They do a screening for substance use and mental health, which I noted earlier. And then they go through the process of working with a community-based panel. So that offender would go before a panel of volunteers in the local community to establish what the guidelines will be for them completing their contract or feeling as though they've been held accountable, the harm has been repaired, whether that's restitution, whether that's a community service, whether it's some sort of impact for the harmed party. If they utilize community service, one thing that we strive to do is ensure that that community service is meaningful to that youth. So, for example, if it was some sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? A graffiti incident, vandalism.
Mhm.
So if the harmed party happened to be a local store, then they would work with that store, they would work with the youth, and they would establish that part of the repairing of harm would be to either paint over the graffiti or do some sort of community service with that store itself so that they can see the impact of their actions on their community and also the party.
Mhm.
And also connecting them to be part of their community and be part of the entire process of reparation. So repairing that.
Mhm. Yeah.
They would go through that contract, and at the end, they would be successfully completed, and no further court involvement would be forthcoming. So would not get into the justice system, the court system at all.
Yeah. Which is such a win-win-win-win-win situation for
All around.
everyone involved.
Yes.
I'm sure the person who had been harmed appreciates the fact that, this juvenile is being forced to, in some way, repair whatever was done. I'm guessing they're involved somewhat in that decision. Like, what would it mean to you to
Absolutely.
repair this? Yeah. And
Yeah.
how can we restore this the best we can?
And
And
that's part of the process. I'm sorry.
yeah, no, I was
Um,
just gonna say, like, as far as age groups too,
Yeah.
I'm guessing once they reach the age of 18, they're kind of aged out of a program like this, which is very helpful to help them, I mean, kids get into mischief, not
Yes.
really
Yes.
understanding the ramifications and understanding like how this impacts somebody else
Exactly.
always.
Yes. So we work with youth between the ages of 12 to 17. Sometimes there are some earlier outliers. We will work with youth up till they turn 18. So as long as the offense happened before they turned 18. Um, and then just being part of the understanding that brain development of an adolescent is not what it is, for me as a 40-year-old woman, it's so much different than how we reason, if you
Yeah.
will, as older
Yeah.
older adults. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. I love that, they have an opportunity to learn,
Yes.
to fix their ways, and to, really change the trajectory of where they were heading. They're kind of
Totally.
stopped in that moment. And then, given this option and given the resources, I was reading some of the like testimonials, I guess you'll call them, or
Yeah.
stories on your website.
Yes.
And, just some different, clever ways that you guys are helping these kids, because there's obviously something missing. And how do we help that particular child? And it's very individualized. And I just, really appreciate that individual work that you guys do to help find, what's best for this child and what they're dealing with.
It really is. And that's part of the restorative process, is understanding where this kiddo is coming from, where this youth is coming from, what's happening in their world, what was the situation that brought them to this choice that they made, or the situation that happened, and how can we as a community rally around them to support them to keep them from going further into the justice system, which research shows lower recidivism rates when youth go through diversion or use restorative justice practices, which is what we do in New Hampshire Juvenile Court Diversion Network. So we know it works.
Sounds like an amazing program. So, is this typical in most states, or is this pretty special just for New Hampshire? Like,
It
I
looks
don't really
different.
know.
Yeah, restorative justice is across all different sectors. So restorative justice can be used in schools, it can be used in communities. Major with Indigenous cultures. So we know that that's where restorative circles come in and where they were originated. And for us here in New Hampshire, we look different because we do it on a statewide level. And a lot of different states just use it in smaller doses, if you will. While we have our own community-based diversion programs, as a network, we get to support the youth serving work that our amazing programs do every single day. We get to support, or we get to advocate for funding and support services. We're involved with the high level decision making communities when our program can't be. So we're at those tables with those people who are making the decisions for juvenile justice and for justice as a whole when our programs don't have to. We have created a community of practice for these programs. They can learn from experts, they can learn from each other, support each other, and just have a space for professional growth in their own communities so that they can be a better support for our youth.
How long has this program been going on, Elisa?
So juvenile court diversion has been around in New Hampshire for about 40 years. The network has been around since 1994. It initially started as a coffee clutch where programs just got together and had an informal community of practice. They talked about cases, they talked about how they can support these youth, what are things that they can do. And then we formalized as a nonprofit in 94. So it's been around for a while. Not many people know about it, which is why I like doing things like this and why I'm tasked with making sure that our programs have awareness, that they have education, that I can advocate any way that I can to support our programs.
So that's a question for you. So, I have a couple of two questions, I guess.
Absolutely.
One is, how do you get these community leaders? Who are these people that come in? Are they volunteers? How are they selected? And that's my first question. And the second question revolves around, how are you funded? How do you keep this wonderful program alive?
So to answer the first question, each community diversion program has its own ways of incorporating their community members. So us as a network, because we're not in the day-to-day communities, we wanted to make sure that they had the opportunity to reach out to their decision makers, to their community panels, interested parties, anyone who wants to be involved in juvenile court diversion or youth serving organizations. You can visit our website, so www.nhcourtdiversion.org. We do have an interactive map on the front page. You can scroll over where your area is. It will list all of the diversion programs in your area so you can find and contact them. Talk to them about how you can be involved if that's something that you're interested in. Since all of our programs are operated independently, they may have different levels of need for support. So it could be a community panel. They're also nonprofits. They are municipalities. So it looks different for each area, but I would encourage visiting our website and contacting your local program to see how they can be involved from there. As for the second question, can you refresh my memory about what the second question was?
Yeah, how do we pay for all this important work? How do you raise your funds for this?
So
How's it supported?
that is interesting. So right now, the network as a whole received some funding from the Bureau of Drug and Alcohol Services because we do utilize a brief screening tool, which is called the SBIRT. So SBIRT. It's screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment. And from there, we screen each youth that comes through the program for their substance use and mental health needs. And from there, we're able to address what that level of risk and level of need is for that youth related to mental health and substance use, whether it's education classes, whether it's referral to outside treatment for mental health or substance use, or mostly just, hey, you're doing an awesome job. You're not utilizing substances. You have great coping skills. You're utilizing other avenues for support. That's awesome. We do that as well. Then we also received some funding from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation to do advocacy work. So those tables, those high-level decision-making tables that we're at, we do it on a statewide level with the legislature to make sure that our programs have what they need. They have the access, our youth have access to diversion. RSA 169B10 is the juvenile court diversion statute. So we are in the statute to be able to access diversion. And that was a great process that happened back in 2011. Since we've had a new probation transformation that started this past year, we have the new process, which includes the new assessment, which is part of our process now. That's been amazing. So those two options are for the network. Our programs are completely operated independently. So they do their own fundraising, their own grant writing, and find support where they can in their communities. So that is one great way that you can help a diversion program as well.
Oh, you just muted yourself.
All right, I'll let you go, Joe. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this has been great. I absolutely love the opportunity that you're giving to youth to have a second chance and learn from mistakes. And I just really appreciate what you guys do. If somebody wants to get involved in your organization, what is the best way for them to get involved?
So if you'd like to get involved on a state level, the network, so contacting me, has opportunities for board of director service, training providers, advocacy support, things like that. If you want to get involved in a local level, I encourage you to go to our website, nhcourtdiversion.org, check out that map, find your local program, contact the coordinator, and see what ways you can get involved there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
This is really great, and we really appreciate all the work you do with our youth. It's fantastic.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, and thank you for giving me the platform to be able to talk about diversion.
We're happy to do so. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome.